Let's talk law on Radio 97. Our resident lawyer, Despina Priala of boutique law firm Priala Legal in Runaway Bay. With us every Thursday morning, she's here with her legal expertise, providing some general advice on the latest of hot topics. She has experience that spans a quarter of a century in the area of property and commercial law. She also prepares wills as part of estate planning and litigation. And she's with us this morning once again. Hello to you, Despina.
Good morning, Wayne. Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning, Despina. So this week a landmark ruling was made and it does affect full-time workers, part-time workers, obviously employers as well. So this could really be quite a significant change if it is put in place, right, Despina?
Absolutely. And it has been hailed by the unions as a historic step moving forward for employees and employers. And we're talking about paid family domestic violence leave. There was a ruling handed down by the Fair Work Commission recently. It was on Monday the 16th of May, so last week. And this decision gave support in principle to vary awards to include 10 days of paid family domestic violence leave. So it is an historic step moving forward, and it's only provisional, I will say. So the Fair Work Commission made this decision last week. As I said, it's been made in principle because the federal government, of course, has to endorse this change that they have proposed for Australia and Australian employees moving forward. And of course, with the change of government recently, perhaps there might be some delay with having this endorsed. I'm not sure. I believe the Labor government were behind this as well as supporting this change. But I thought we'd talk about this and let's get a head start, I suppose, for employers and employees as to what this may mean moving forward in the future and what this may look like for employers.
All right, so this is a bit of a historic step, isn't it, for both employees and for employers as well?
It is. So currently, my understanding is that workers get 5 days of unpaid leave, so not paid leave, unpaid leave for family domestic violence. Okay, and moving forward to cater for, I suppose, the real issue in society being that there is domestic violence. We can't shy away from that. We can't sweep it under the carpet. It does exist. And in this particular decision, they did actually refer to, as part of the foundations and the reasoning behind this decision, they did refer to the statistics in Australia about domestic violence. And I think it's important for us perhaps to go through that, and then we can talk about some potential implications for employers and employees. So the decision, or the Fair Work Commission stated in their ruling that 1 in 4 women compared to 1 in 13 men, for example, experience at least one incident of violence by an intimate partner.
So sad.
And very much so. And the domestic violence costs for employers was noted as $2 billion. So that's a lot of costs that are walking out the door, and that's $2 billion annually. And that was quoted in the case. You know, that is part of the foundation and the reasoning behind, I think, this decision made by the Fair Work Commission. And I will say that the decision handed down in principle was only referring to full-time and part-time employees. There is some question as to whether it should also apply to casual employees. Yeah. So that is a space to watch as well. But, you know, some other questions you might have: will it assist in reducing the absenteeism in the workplace? As you can imagine, obviously, if someone's the victim of domestic violence, they're obviously going to be absent from work. Is that going to assist somehow in reducing that? Will it create more comfort and security for those in the workplace who are the victims of domestic violence? Only time will tell, I suppose. And I think it is a step moving forward to assist people in that situation. And I think for employers at this current stage, it would be wise for them to seek some legal advice about what they may want to do. They may want to start reviewing their own internal policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Some employers, I believe, to my knowledge, have already provided for that for their employees. They've already got that as part of their employment contract, that they provide paid leave for those employees in that situation, and some don't. But this is supposed to standardise across Australia what employees can be allowed or given in this type of situation. So if we go back to, I suppose, the other part of the reasoning behind this decision by the Fair Work Commission, if we go back to what an employer really has to do in the workplace, and the employer does have always has had long-standing obligations to provide employees with safety and resources in the workplace. And they've always had that, and they've had that duty of care that extends to employees, and that will always be the case. But it's interesting that the case referred to, or there was some mention about, well, employers always have to provide the very basic needs for employees in the first instance. And we're talking about, for example, workers have to have the right to be able to drink, to have toilet breaks, etc. And the Fair Work Commission obviously endorses these basic rights that they've got to provide through cases that come before them about where employers don't do that, and they don't provide for this in the workplace for employees. And there was an interesting case, I think it was 2020, that concerned a franchisee who owned 6 McDonald's stores, and the Retail and Fast Food Workers Union took them to task. And in that case, that particular franchisee, for whatever reason, didn't provide the proper toilet breaks for employees, and that one particular employee was able to get compensation. So the Fair Work Commission is there to obviously reinforce the principles and the laws for providing the safety and resources in the workplace that employers always have to provide and will have to continue to provide. And I think this change for paid family domestic violence leave is another step towards creating that again, or expanding, I suppose, the safety net and the resources that employers already have to provide in the workplace.
Now, Despina, you mentioned that it's what's called a decision in principle. So that means the federal government still has to sign off on it. So it's not in place as yet. And how long do you think that might take?
Yeah, good question. Good question. As I said, the decision is only provisional. And it is set to be finalised hopefully soon, but there's got to be further consideration by other parties. Obviously, the federal government has to consider that. And as to how long that will take, well, as I said, we've just had a change of government.
New government.
So, and so I suppose is a question perhaps posed to our new Prime Minister is whether he will be quite supportive of this moving forward and how quickly he will have this endorsed. But it certainly is a good starting point, I think, for the future for employees.
Yeah, I agree. We'll keep you updated here on Talking Law. And coming up next on the show recently, we have discussed wills and intestacy rules, and another good question has popped up from one of our listeners. We'll be answering that just after this. You're listening to Radio 97.